And alright. So, everyone just rolled to see who gets to say what happened last week. And I got the highest. I rolled a 19. So. Yes. Hello?
I'm good. Yeah?
Okay. So, what happened last week was, you guys had, Callan was freaking out over the stranger that you were having a bonfire with. And, you started to get to know the stranger a little bit. He told you that, he is a killer, essentially, a bounty hunter, more or less. And other than the fact that he had bluntly admitted to killing people for money, he seemed like a pretty relaxed guy. But Callan just was not having it, and Dylan was able to pry Callan's concern from him, and Callan had said that guy's dangerous, and that Callan wants, like, he thinks that everyone should either run away or they should kill him. And which Dylan was like, yeah, he seems like he's like a pretty cool guy. He hasn't hurt any one of us, so he's fine with me. And then Callan was like, wait, no, and then Dylan gagged him. Then you guys went back to the capital, where you had turned Callan in. Bethany and her boys went with Callan and the captain to go to the king for his to be judged. And then you guys went to the Adventurers League to turn in your signed contract, in which you were rewarded with official pins of the Adventurers League. Dylan and Joan was. The receptionist did mention that now that they are in, there is there's an officer named John who may or may not have a quest for them, but it would be something that he would come to them for. And he would probably be looking for a little bit more experienced workers. But you guys were basically very open to it, and she said, well, I'll leave it I will go talk to him for you and see what I can do. So after that, you guys had left the Adventures League, and now we are in the capital. We'll say that you guys just got out of the Adventures League. What would you like to do?
How late is it?
We'll say that it's like early evening. Or no, the Adventures League was about to close, so it's probably getting towards like late evening.
Okay. So I doubt there's anything open.
No, in fact, I remember that you guys had to choose either to go to the Treasury or to the Adventures League. And if you went to one or the other one would close by the time you were done.
Maybe some tavern time, I guess. Maybe to go to bed, run a room.
I mean, I think we already established that they were just going to stay at my place at the college.
Mm-hmm.
I look at Leon and Joan, and I'm like, so do you guys want to go back to my place? Or that sounds suggestive. Do you guys want to go back to my place, or do you guys want to go to like a tavern or something to wind down?
I don't see any problem with going to your place. After all, I have no money on me as currently. Something you all seem to be fond of.
Okay, my place it is. Um,
So, you walk across the capital to the eastern section, where the massive college takes a big chunk of the eastern sector, and it has a very beautiful garden out front, courtyard with this beautiful garden, these two massive willow trees. In the nighttime, their leaves kind of glow as fireflies dance in the breeze. And then there are these posts which have these blue torches that kind of light up the courtyard during the night. And you would know that the college, basically, there are like there's the center spot where all of the classes are, and then there is the west and the east wing where there are all the dormitories. Now, this college does let people who live in Astoria, like in the capital, you don't have to live in the dorms in order to be an attendee. The dorms is usually for people who live outside of the city, so that they don't have to obviously travel. They can stay here. So it's not like there are enough dorms to house like thousands of people, but this place can definitely house hundreds of people. You will say that you live on the east wing. There really is no coding for where certain classmen go when it comes to dorms. It's pretty much you are assigned a room based on what rooms are available and what pricing you want them. There is no like seniority over rooms. So you have a room on the eastern wing, and the room is it's probably for your budget. You probably have a room that can house 3 people. It has 3 individual rooms and then a center room that is essentially a lounging room. And then all of you share one bathroom.
so I'm sharing, not counting the 2 people with me, I'm sharing this sort of like dorm room with like 2 other people.
Correct.
What 2 other people?
Um, let's see. We'll say
You can have one of them be mine.
Oh God, no.
one of them.
No,
That
Funny.
I'm pretty sure boys and girls have different dorm sections in colleges.
One of them is named Holland Jest. He's a male. He is in his late 20s. And we'll say that he comes from Seaport. His father owns this pretty successful fishing business. It's a little up north of the northern coast of Seaport. And the Lord of Seaport, Vondervich, essentially sold your father this piece of land. So there's this really tiny piece of like the ocean that your father owns, and he fishes out of it. And it just so happens that this spot is like a hot spot for fish. So your father has been able to make a small fortune. Not your father, excuse me. Holland's father to make a small fortune, which is why he has come to the college. He hopes to use the knowledge of magic to help his father being able to either predict the weather or maybe even control prevention or resistance to weather conditions like powerful winds or rain.
Although rain's good for fishing.
Some rain can be very
not the flooding the
problematic.
deck kind.
And his name is Holland Jest.
Yes.
Okay. Who's numero dos?
The next one is Vens Tallinn. He's possibly in his late 30s, so an older gentleman. He came to the College of Mordecai at a later time. He himself, he essentially says that he's been to the college before. A long time ago, he essentially came across a small family fortune. And he always wanted to go to the College of Mordecai, and he went there, failed miserably, and then he flunked out before he lost all of his money. He then used the rest of his money and the next almost 2 decades rebuilding his finances and building a business of decorative items. So he made things like small statuettes of wood, pieces of pottery, etc., for people to decorate their homes. And surprisingly, he made quite a bit of money, enough for him to come back to the college to try again and hopefully be able to be certified to be able to use some magic to possibly make some magic items for his business.
What's his name again?
Vens Tallinn.
Okay, so Holland Jest and Vince Tallinn.
Mm-hmm. Tallinn.
Okay. As we're sort of walking to the campus, if there's any like students that I recognize, like walking around, I kind of like jokingly like say, I'm like, guess who's back in town?
Mm-hmm. They'll give you like a secret Mordecai alpha handshake or something. I don't know.
The college has a. Okay.
They do an M over their forehead. Or they'll throw an M at you, like.
Yeah, like for Mordecai. But
Yeah.
isn't that technically a gang sign?
No.
So what?
Don't.
East side. Anyways.
More like Mordecai.
So, you'll definitely see some classmates of yours that easily recognize you, and some of them will give you a high five or, like I said, a handshake and whatnot. But they all seem pretty busy, talking amongst each other about courses and whatnot. And you actually see that one of your favorite teachers, a teacher that you didn't really take a lot of courses with, it was kind of just something to get the basics of for your certification. It was the teacher, the professor of the alchemist courses called Riptide. That is his. No one actually knows his real name. They even say that in his official records in the College of Mordecai, his name is written down as Riptide. So everyone just calls him Riptide. He's this old man who's pretty laid back and relaxed. He doesn't really care if you mess around in class. He basically has the philosophy where we already have your money, so if you screw around in class or don't show up, that's your own damn fault. I really could care less. But if you're here to teach, that's good on, or if you're here to learn, then that's good on you. Out of class, he's honestly, you would think is probably one of the coolest professors here. He helps students with getting potions to do stuff like essentially the equivalent of a narcotic if you will. He will help students make some potions for these little parties that some people have, even smuggling alcohol in through. He's a very chill professor.
He's a cool professor.
Exactly. He's also known to be one who's very, very good at shingle surfing, which he accomplished when he went to a big party that the students of Mordecai always have, and he essentially, he took a board, like a plank of wood, and he literally slid down the roof of Mordecai, and ever since then they called it shingle surfing. And he was the first one to do it and nearly broke his legs falling down into the courtyard, but somehow survived. There are many different tales and legends throughout the many generations and classes and previous classmen that talk about him every now and then. But for some odd reason, he never gets in trouble. Whether it be the college just sees him as too big of an asset, or he's just really good at talking his way out of a situation. So eventually, he's in the main lobby of the College of Mordecai, and you see that he's actually talking to one of the professors. The professors is Zentar Delena. They are she is the essentially the main professor of the evocations course or division. And they seem to be having a pretty... She seems pretty interested in the conversation. She's speaking, but you can definitely tell that Riptide is getting a little bored. And when he sees you come in with a bunch of strangers, his eyes draw to you, and he smiles. And he says something to Zentar, and she kind of just looks at him with this like baffled look. And he walks up to you, and his very comfortable traveling robes, and his white elongated beard kind of peels back from the air as he approaches you, and he says, "Well, if it ain't Dylan Mordecai."
You still hanging in here, Riptide?
Ah, yes. Yes, I am, unfortunately. Miss Delana and I were having a intriguing conversation about some discovery of properties of fire, and I don't know. I honestly kind of dozed out in the middle of the first sentence she sputtered out of her mouth. So, what are you up to?
Oh no, I've just been out of town for a couple weeks and just finally got back in. These are my friends, Leon and Joan Smith.
He looks at you two, and he says, "Are these going to be new attendees to the college, or are they just visitors?"
They're just visitors. They didn't really have any place to stay for the night, so I thought I let them just, bunk up with me.
Ah, well. And you see that he looks around and he says, "If you don't mention anything to anyone, I will tell the administrators that," and he's like looking around, "that you have visitor passes for them if they just stay the night."
I mean, I forgot about the visitor passes. I suppose I could always do this trick, and I use prestidigitation, which to like make a small, what looks like a visitor's pass in my hands,
Mhm.
and then immediately just like put it back, like put my hand back in my pocket, and then it's like it's gone.
Riptide smiles and he says, "Oh, come on, boy. You know the administrators will be able to see right past through that simple illusion."
It is a magic college, after all.
Well, I mean, I'm not planning. Well, as long as we just keep this a secret between us. I mean, it's just for one night. Then I'll try to see if I can dig up some visitors passes for them.
Yes, like I said, as long as you keep them into your dorms, into yourselves, and don't wander about the halls, I'll make sure to know, to let you know if, I would essentially keep the administration off your back.
Well, I appreciate that, Riptide. So on a random note, is there any gatherings, wink wink, get-togethers that are gonna happen tonight?
He says, unfortunately, no, not tonight. Though I did hear at the end of this week, there possibly is going to be one. After all, the day that ends this very week is the anniversary of when Longbeard's Hill was burnt to ashes. The whole city will be decorating the streets with massive human-like idols, and then burning them to the ground to symbolize the destruction of the arsonist.
Out of character, does he mean like the arsonist was destroyed, or the arsonist's destruction of other things?
As in, like, basically they're pre-celebrating the hope of burning the arsonist. And it's also kind of more of like a fear tactic because they don't know where he is. So if they show that like these civilians are like burning down things in his image, then hopefully that's a scare tactic to, scare him.
Right.
But it's also a way to kind of let the people remember about the tragedy that had happened that very night. And this day at the end, and this day, the day that ends this week, is actually the 14th year that Longbeard's Hill was destroyed.
How do you burn down a hill?
It was a village.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Yes. Yeah, it was a village.
Okay. Was that the first thing the arsonist did, or was that like the first big thing that they did?
So, the arsonist, that was the first thing that he did. The arsonist never really had done anything else besides that. There was one thing that he did, but it wasn't as big as burning down a whole village. It was about 5 years after the incident where a group of traveling guards, or knights, had stumbled across him traveling the open fields of the country, and they tried to arrest him, and he defended himself by attacking them and burned them. Unfortunately, there was a survivor who had reported this to the king, and that was the last known, widely known incident that the arsonist has done. Which is a good thing, but to some it's also kind of a bad thing, because nobody knows if he will strike again. and when he will. So that's kind of put fear into the commoners.
Okay. Well, I'll just say, I hope I'm in town for when the festival goes down. I'll talk to you later, Riptide. Thanks again.
Oh, yes. No problem, boy. Also, feel free to stop by, my classroom. You're always welcome if you ever need any questions or if you need any, you know. And he makes, the hand gesture suggesting drinking out of a bottle.
Yes. Healing potions.
Yes. Healing potions. And then he winks.
I wink back. Like we're not being completely obvious what we're talking about.
Leon looks between them and just doesn't question it.
It's just like, man, this is an intellectual thing.
So, after that, you leave Riptide, and you go to your dorms. You go to your dorm. You still have the key to unlock it, as your roommates always keep it locked. And you unlock it, and when you open it, you see that Holland, who has brown hair and green eyes, is sitting in the room wearing his nightgown and cap, and he's reading an old tome, sitting on essentially sitting on the love seat that is in this little lounge room that you have, that one of you had purchased. And when he sees you walk in with yourself and two strangers, he quickly sits up and he puts a red ribbon bookmark into the book, and he closes the tome, and he says, well, long time no see. Where the hell have you been?
I was doing some work with the Adventurers League.
The Adventures League? Well, damn. Must have been some business. You've been gone for a long time.
Yeah, pretty serious stuff. Not.
Did you finish some assignments or something before you left, or have you talked to the professors on late work?
I'm kind of at this point in my academic life. I'm kind of doing some more self-motivated projects. Very little supervision.
Ah. So you don't have any courses you're attending to as of right now?
No. Most of it, it's graduate work, just a bunch of research papers, the like. And I'm pretty much done with most of my stuff. So I thought a few weeks out of town wouldn't be anything.
Huh. Well, glad to see that you're back and in one piece. You'll have to tell me what you went and did. Well, if you can. I know the Adventures League is a pretty secretive club.
No one talks about the Fight Club.
Yeah. Well, anyway, these are my friends, Jones, Smith, and Leon. They're gonna be staying in my room for tonight.
Holland stands up and he goes over to you, Leon, and he holds out a hand. You can tell that by this man's hand, this young man's hand, that it is like rough and calloused, as if he's worked with these hands for a long time. But you also notice that they look sort of like it looks like these calluses haven't been worked on in probably a few years. As he holds out his hand to you, and he says, "The name's Holland Jest."
Leon returns the favor with not a calloused hand, but a sort of more scarred hand.
Mm-hmm.
Leon.
And he'll shake your hand, and this guy has a fairly firm handshake, but yours is much more firm you have a much more firm of a grip. And he looks over at Joan and gives her a bow. Excuse me. And he says, "Dylan, are you sure that you should have a woman inside of your chambers? Remember what happened last time?" And Joan just kind of looks at you and raises a brow.
Okay, first off, it was 2 women. So.
Oh yes, excuse me.
That was a special occasion. That was after finals. We were all celebrating. I think we deserve that. Okay.
Yes. Such a charmer. Still, though, I don't want to have another one of those pregnancy scares.
Okay. That was not. There was no way either of them. I was careful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Sure. I'm sure you were using your best abjuration magic.
It was just I mean.
And at this point, you hear the door to Ven's room open. And you guys see this older gentleman, like I said, in his late 30s, has a few graying hairs here and there in his hair, and he has like a very, very dark brown hair, and he says, "Oi, what's all the noise out here for?"
Hey, Vin. How's
Leon just waves his hand and goes, "Yo."
Joan waves her hand. Hello.
It was a really good Joan impression.
And you can tell by the look of Ven's face and his fingers rubbing his temple that he's suffering through a possible hangover.
Or will we be sleeping? Leon breaks the silence.
I gesture towards my room.
Joan will say, I think I'll stay out here. This seat that Holland has warmed up for me seems pretty comfortable.
John will just sleep next to the door then.
Oh no, you take my bed. I have something else I need to do tonight.
Like what?
College stuff.
Alright.
Like counting to numbers higher than 3. Stuff you wouldn't understand out of character.
Holland just kind of he says, wait, you don't know how to count to higher than 3?
I know how to count higher than 3. He says, giving Dylan a glare.
That's the thing I'm sensitive about.
Oh yeah, we'll prove it.
I'm tired right now. I'm just gonna go to bed. He says, leaving the conversation.
Jesus.
Just like when he's like closing the door, he gestures to Dylan and just like, I'm gonna murder you later type of look. The door.
I just like wave goodbye. Well, Holland, Vin, nice seeing you. Just gonna leave you to it. I'll be back sometime by the morning.
Alright, just don't come back with another woman. Don't want the one that you have on you getting jealous or anything. And then Holland will walk into his room, and Venz just kind of groans as he hears the sound of Holland's door shut. Oh, bloody mother. And then he retreats back into his dark room. So, Dylan, what are you doing while Joan and Leon stay in your dormitory?
Let's see. I'm going to the dorm area that is more populated by those of the female persuasion.
Uh-huh.
And I will pick a random door and knock on it.
Lily, you're in the lounge area, studying in your tomes. Your two roommates currently are out and about in the city, possibly at a tavern or at an inn, having some fun with some gents. And you hear a knock at your front door.
Who?
Lily?
Oh, I like shuffle over from out of my bed. I'm like wearing like a really just plain old nightgown with my I throw my glasses on real quick. They're kind of a little sideways. And I open the door to see who it is.
I'm trying to like at first I'm trying to get my best like sort of like a bit of like kind of like that kind of pose like kind of casual but still flirty. But like the moment I see it's Lily, I just like get like an oh crap look on my face like oh no.
FBI, open up.
Jailbait.
I'm just like hey Lily, are your roommates home?
No, they aren't. They're out partying, I guess.
Funny. I thought somebody told me there weren't any parties going on.
Well, I don't know. I've been in
So-
my room all night so far. All day, actually.
Sounds fun. So how's your studies going?
Pretty well. I'm currently working on making golems, or the production of golems, anyway. But it's been very terribly poor construction, anyway. No leads, anyway.
Understandable. Yeah, I just got back into town. Was coming to say hi to you and your older roommates.
Sorry.
I see. And then I'm just gonna slowly close the door and try to hide behind it a little.
Trying to figure out a way to like have my character mention Callan that's not like a forced way.
So, how's your travels been?
It's fine. I was doing some work for an Adventures League. Had to go down to Lord Green's land and to solve a problem. Solved the problem. Came back up. One of the people I was traveling with murdered another one of the people I was traveling with. So we came back to the city, turn that guy into the authorities.
Well, that's horrifically terrible.
Yes, it was.
Anyway.
Yeah. The crazy thing was the Adventurers League was the one who sent him to help us, even though he turned out to be a psycho.
That's real terrible.
Yeah, if I don't have to have to hear the name. Yeah, if I never have to hear the sorry. You can go.
Shouldn't they do like background checks to make sure they're sane? The least.
They didn't really. Yeah, it's a whole cluster stuff. Yeah. If I never have to hear the word name Callan again, it'll be too soon.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the name of the psycho who killed somebody.
His last name wouldn't happen to be Ogden, would it?
Did I know his last name?
He said it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. As a bit more suspicious and interested, like as a matter of fact, it did.
I see. I hope he ends up dead or in bars. I hope.
Well, he'll definitely probably be one of those things. Do you know who Callan is?
I know him all too well. Way too well, actually. And then she kind of like shudders at the thought of his name and all the memories she's had.
A bit more concerned, like in an older brother kind of way. Like, I'm like, do you want to talk about it?
Sure, why not?
Good.
I'll see if I can make any tea, but I'm not the greatest at making tea.
Right.
She does another little shudder as the thought of cooking comes up.
Cooking.
I'm like making sure like nobody sees this and is me going into the dorm room and just like the wrong idea.
Oh, did you hear the latest rumor? Callan totally railed that 16-year-old. It was bad, dude.
God.
Nah, that's yeah. No, you don't. Yeah, there's no witnesses.
Oh, no witnesses.
Of tea time.
She quickly closes the.
Only tea parties.
Would I just roll? Can I just say that I have tea already prepared, or can I just be like?
Didn't you already have tea prepared? I thought you said you were like drinking tea while reading your book.
I was saying I was going to make some tea. I could maybe one of my roommates made tea ready for us.
Sure, we'll say that you have like pre-packets of tea.
All right. Well, there you go. And I take a seat right across from good old Dylan.
Yes, I will also make sure to take a seat not like where we're facing each other, but there's like a very legal, healthy distance between us.
Actually, she's like way on the other side of the table, not even facing you. She's just like looking one direction while you're looking there, basically. And this is like 4 chairs over. So.
Is the tea any good?
It's prepackaged tea.
It's not the best tea you've tasted, but it's definitely not cheap tea.
I use prestidigitation to make the tea taste better.
So Lily, you see that he casts a simple cantrip, and with your high keen intellect, you know that he casted the spell amongst the type of a prestidigitation spell cantrips.
Ah, is that one of your better spells, or is that just something that you picked up just in case? Hello?
I can hear you. You
Oh,
kind of.
okay.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something else. This is like that's just the least I could do. I was just cooling the tea off a little bit. Tastes good.
I see. So, what did you want to talk about?
I thought you seemed to have some sort of history with Callan Arcton.
I
Maybe do you
do.
want to? Did you? What's all that about?
I'm not really fond of my history, but you left me when I was 6.
Wait, you guys were married?
No,
Jesus, that's another thing we could have like added to his list of crimes right there.
and then shortly after, my mother left me as well. But I've gotten a great, but they left me with a very wealthy family, I guess. So I've probably gained a nice memory from that. Although my father's very hopefully going to die or be imprisoned for good for abandoning me and my mother.
Well, actually, he's going to be imprisoned because he killed a guy, but also that was also a bad thing for him to do.
True.
So Callan Arcton was your father. I gotta say, I don't see the resemblance, and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible.
Well, yes, I look more like my mother.
So did your mother pass away, or?
She abandoned me as well. Before she did, she handed me off to a wealthy family.
Well, I suppose that was the least she could do. I never knew my father personally.
I see.
Daddy issues are real.
Is that all you wanted to know?
I guess so. I guess I also wanted some tea. I finished the cup. I was like, well, it was good talking to you.
I'm kinda getting a little bored of solitude. If there's another adventure coming up, mind if I join you or something of the sort? I'm
Um,
guessing you have a group of friends, possibly.
See, we aren't exactly babysitters, so
Wait, did Daniel get here?
we're no.
Oh,
Yeah, just
okay.
Joan comes out of nowhere. Actually, we're not
She's
babysitters.
following.
like her Dylan is about to make decisions for the rest of us. Senses are tingling. Like, actually.
No, no, no. You hear Nathaniel in the back of your head. Oh, great! Exactly what I need. A pre-adolescent to
Well,
ride
she's not
upon my
pre.
back.
Well, she's not pre-adolescent. She's 16, but still.
Oh yes, excuse me. I have forgotten when the pre-adolescent stages of you humans. Your lifetime is like a blink of an eye to me. Excuse me. I love Nathaniel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Best character.
Well, I'll think about it. I'll
Besides
definitely.
Shirley.
If anybody gets back to me about what's going to happen to your father, I'll definitely let you know. And I'll think about the adventure thing.
Well, I don't care to know what happens to my father. So you can just come back to me and let me know if you don't mind me joining. But don't come back to tell me what the verdict is for my father.
Okay. I I I say thank you for the tea, and I give back the cup, and I go to leave. And like after I open the door, I like make two double sures to like make sure nobody's around.
You don't see anybody.
Like if anybody caught me, I was gonna be like, I'm stealing stuff.
Yeah, stealing her janitor.
Shut up. Shut up.
Actually, I want to do something kind of interesting. I want to open the door with Mage Hand. Just to be a little fancy. Just not get out of my seat, just like cast Mage Hand to open the door for him.
Like Mage Hand is like the most potentially like spell that would be great for like lazy people. Just like oh, the remote's all the way over there.
Oh, the
Being able to
bag
make-
of Cheetos.
Yes.
I don't want to get to the cupboard.
But that's what Mage Hand does. And roll for
Possibilities.
that.
I don't think it's a roll. I think it's automatic. It's not like you're trying to hit somebody. Or,
There you go, the door's
well,
swings right open.
I'll see you later, Lily. Good luck with your studies.
You too.
I close the door and I'm like, okay, second time's the charm, and I go to another door and knock on it.
All right.
Wow.
When you open the door, you see that it is. When you actually approach this door and you knock on it, you actually recognize the number on this door.
After I knocked on it?
Oh. No.
We'll say that you're on the second floor. When you knock on the door, immediately something clicks in your head. The feeling of a memory. And it's something that you're kind of like embarrassed. Like you feel like embarrassment. And when the door opens, you see this fairly young woman with long curly brown hair, some freckles on her cheeks, a little short pointed nose, and these brown eyes that remind you of 2 large chocolate chips.
How old?
She's probably in her early 20s.
Okay.
And you recognize this woman to be Janice Delane. And Janice Delane was a woman that you actually talked to during one of your many partying escapades. And instead of swooning her with your charms, you actually had a very intellectual conversation with her. And it started getting to a point where you ended up not really feeling like you were going to score that night. It was more or less that you might have gotten a relationship of some sort. Whether it be a friendship or possibly a love interest, you're not quite sure. But the reason why you're embarrassed is not because of the first night you met her. It was actually the third one. The second one was another party. You guys both had a conversation, and then you both made a plan to go out into Astria and walk amongst the streets to possibly talk more intellectual conversations of the specialized type of magic you were majoring in. And on this third get together, there was a point where you started to feel that you possibly may or may not have feelings for Janice. And you can definitely tell that she was feeling the same way. It was very, very awkward for both of you. And she was constantly blushing and having this very nervous look upon her. And at the very end, you sort of conjured up this courage to basically friend zone her. And it wasn't that you straight up told her that you just wanted to be friends. Right before you left her at her dorm, she was expecting a kiss, and instead you gave her a hug and told her that you were a very good friend to her.
Oh, ouch.
And
Oh my gosh.
you told her to have a good night, and you walked away. And you have not talked to her since. Mainly because you weren't entirely sure why you said it. You just felt that that was natural, and you knew that was a mistake. So ever since then, you've been trying your best to avoid seeing her. And she looks at you, surprised, and she brushes away a bang from over her brown eyes, and she says, "Dylan, well, what a surprise."
While he's doing that, can I, my fire?
Can you what?
Find my familiar?
Yeah, sure.
It takes an hour long to conjure it,
I only
so.
took-
But
I thought it only
after
took
that,
10
it's
minutes.
definitely. No, it's an hour.
Okay. I look at her, like, on the outside, I'm, like, all cool and, like, suave, but inside, I'm just like, shit, abort, 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 abort.
And you
It's
know
like,
what, just to add on to this, you know, Leon's feeling kind of insulted from, you know, him pointing out that he can only count up to 3. So what Leon is going to do, since he is in Dylan's room, he's going to look for something equally embarrassing.
Okay, give me an investigation check. Dylan, give me a stealth. We'll have you sit.
What am I trying to hide here?
I'll leave that up to you.
Would it be
I'll leave that.
Wouldn't it be sleight of hand?
Yeah, you can do a sleight of hand. So does an 18 beat your sleight of hand? Oh, okay.
23.
So you look around and you honestly can't find anything juicy. Like, I mean, you find some undergarments that he left behind. That's not really anything juicy.
Other people's undergarments that somebody else left.
Undergarments. That's not really anything embarrassing. If anything, you're pretty much just helping him rub it in of how much of a swooning charlatan he is.
I'm surprised he isn't sick.
Oh.
That's what I go to Riptide for. He hooks me up.
Hell yeah, boy. So,
could I just describe my room?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a pretty simple room. There's one bed and, like, a dresser and a desk. It's pretty, like, on one wall, like, almost like a Beautiful Mind style. There's, like, a collection of different, like, pages from books, notes, hand-drawn pictures with, like, lines connected to them. Like, he gets really serious with, like, writing his stories and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And just, like, yeah, and you can see, like, on the desk is his first ever published and not very successful novel called The Imbeciles and the Land of the Mists. Let me know if you want to read that. I'll describe what's in it.
Yeah, Leon will read it since he has time.
Can he read though?
Story about a variety of different people who find themselves in this sort of dark and foreboding, almost gothic land that's like ruled by this vampire king, and they kind of work together to help this lady who's like being stalked by the vampire king. And it's okay. It's a bit like tone wise, it's a bit all over the place because like sometimes it's really scary and dark and serious, and other times they're being completely idiots and just goofy and not doing things that a rational person would do. It kind of towards the end, it seems almost like it's kind of rushing faster than the rest of the book does. But the ending is kind of okay because like almost everybody in the party dies except for one, where it's implied that he's about to die because the lady they had been protecting from the vampire lord the entire book turns out to be a vampire thrall of the vampire lord.
Plot twists are real.
Yes. Fun fact, that is based on a very unsuccessful Curse of Strahd campaign that I was in.
I kind of figured. Right when I heard the title and I heard Misty Lands, I went, "This is gonna be a book about Curse of Strahd, isn't
it?" Interesting, but not what I'm looking for. Could he take another investigation?
Yes, but
can he do that?
Yes. So I have a rule where you can retry the same skill check for the same result if you fail, but anytime after the first time, you start with a -2, and then anytime after the second attempt, you get an additional -1 to your check. So you would roll an investigation check, and then if you fail, the second one you take a -2 penalty, and then the third one you take a -3, fourth one -4, fifth one -5, etc., etc., until you stop or reach. Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's 119.
Why would she have advantage on it?
I don't know. That is something that's on her part.
What?
Your character sheet is set to where you will roll always an advantage.
Okay, so normal.
Yes.
Sorry. I'll do the reroll. Nice. So, another investigation without
Oh my
Nice.
gosh.
I
kind of want her to find this.
Yep. Even with a.
Yeah, she finds it.
So. Yeah, you find it, Dylan. Dylan. What would be the most embarrassing thing that you would have that you are hiding in your room?
Like, there's a bit of there's part of the ceiling that you notice is a little you feel almost like a little bit of a draft coming through it, and you poke it the board on top, and it kind of opens up to a hidey hole, and in there you pull out a collection of pictures hand drawn by Dylan. Of Dylan with various other ladies mid coitus. And most of them you don't recognize, but one of them you do recognize as the professor that was talking to Riptide when you first came into the college.
Oh.
Ooh.
And that is how I passed evocation. That's actually what's written on, that's the name of that piece of art, how I passed evocation.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
You know what? I think Leon's gonna keep this one.
Do you put the rest of the pictures
just for
back?
leverage if he... Yep, all the rest of them are back. Will he have to make an attempt to sleight of hand it?
I
mean, all I would have to do is check my pictures,
Yeah.
since that's probably the most scary one.
Basically what'll happen is he'll if he checks it, he'll know that it's gone, but he doesn't necessarily know who took it.
Like, I'll know that it's gone, but it might have been you. It might have been one of my roommates.
Could have been Joan.
Nice. Okay. It could have been Joan.
Could have been Janice.
God, I hope it wasn't Joan. Why would Janice have the key? How would Janice have gotten into my room?
A woman's got ways.
Okay.
You have your ways, and she has hers.
Plus, she's magic, so you know.
Just as soon as I gotta figure out, I'm just gonna be like, curse my desire to draw things that don't need fruit.
Curse my talents.
At most, I feel like I could deny that. Like, it's a joke. It didn't actually happen. I mean, it's just a drawing.
It's
literally
just a
fruit that
fantasy.
actually happened.
It's just a fantasy, I
Yes,
swear.
but the question is, would his teacher be able to recognize the drawing skills?
Like, my drawing skills are just stick figures. Like, really crappy stick figures. Like, with, like, no, like, none of them are discernible.
You have to, like, label who they are just for people to understand
Yeah.
what they're supposed to represent.
And you're just, like, looking at this, like, yeah, this is the proof I need.
Dude.
But seriously, no, they're pretty. I like to say they're pretty good drawings. I might need to roll for it.
What if Dylan always sees people as stick figures? And that's what
Oh
he
my gosh.
actually thinks people look like.
That'd be great.
Conspiracy theory.
I don't know. Do you want me to roll to see how good my drawings are?
Nah, you have a pretty good, well, what kind, are you
You have
proficient in
amazing
any tools?
charisma.
What?
Are you proficient with any tools?
I'm proficient in calligraphy supplies, though I have not used that. Could I switch that out for art supplies?
Yeah.
Yeah, art supplies.
Then
like, they're good.
I would say since you're proficient, your drawings are they're impressive. They're definitely above average. Like when you're not trying, they're above average, but when you actually try, they're pretty pristine.
I want to point out, all of the girls know I drew these stuff. Like, it's not like this, like, creepy secret I have. Like, they all know. They didn't know. What they don't know is I titled these.
It's like that scene from Titanic where Jack draws oh shoot, I forgot what her name is. The female protagonist of
Rose.
The story. Rose, yes. Paint me, Dylan. Paint me like one of your seaport girls. So.
Anyway, Leon's found what he wants.
All right. Dylan.
Meanwhile. So I don't know if you noticed Janice, but I was out of town for a few weeks working on some stuff, and I got back and I thought I really wanted to see you.
Give me a deception roll.
$17.
She smirks and she says, "Oh, well, that's really nice of you. I was a bit worried about you when I had heard rumors that you were going off, doing things for the Adventurous League. I'm glad to see that you're back and in good condition."
Yeah. Do you mind if I come in, or are your roommates home? Or does she actually have her own like single room?
Nope, she has roommates. She says, she looks back and she says, I kind of have tomes and parchment everywhere, so my lounging quarters are a bit messy. But my roommates, they're not here in the premises.
Are they like are like Lily's roommates and like Janice's roommates like having some four-way somewhere on the campus? Like what's going on here?
No, I mean, there are like taverns and stuff in Astria that students will sometimes go to. Not every party they have is on the campus.
Uh, Trust me, I'm not one to. You should see my room. I'm not one to complain about messes.
It really isn't.
Oh, then I guess I suppose you can come in. And she steps aside and holds the door open for you. And you do see clearly that her living quarters are like covered with open tomes. She's been very hard at work.
What's her major?
You know that she's going for her wizard. Shoot, I don't know. Oh, fuck, I had a word. You know that that she specializes in abjuration magic, so that's her major. But she's going for wizard, which is essentially it's essentially a bachelor's degree. Right.
So the apprentice is like an associate's.
Yes.
Sage would be like masters.
Correct.
And so on, so on.
An archmage would be like the equivalent of a doctorate or a like PhD.
So I'm probably a little bit older than her because I've already gotten like my wizards. I think now I'm working on my sages, which is why it's a lot more sort of like free time, kind of self-directed education.
Do you have your wizards? I thought you only had your apprentice.
I think I have my wizards because I'd like to say I have my wizards.
Technically, you're supposed to start with your apprentice, and you can get your wizards later. Which, the thing about how essentially these certifications work is you can test out anytime you want. It's not like you have to finish a course or you really get credits. These are basically just classes to get you ready for the course. So technically, if you have the smarts and you study hard enough, you could get your master's in 2 years instead of the 5 or 6 years if you knew your stuff. So like in game, it's not like you have to spend like another year in game to get it. You could like on a random in between quests when you guys return your rewards or collect your money or whatever, you can go to the college and be like, I want to take the test to get my wizard's degree. And then I'll basically put you through the DCs you need to take. There is a fee, of course, in order to take it. The bigger the certificate, the more expensive it is. To get your wizard's degree, I believe it's 100 gold.
Jesus.
And then to get your sage, it's I think 500. And then to get your archmage, you have to have 1,200.
Okay. So, hard at studying, I see. Janice.
She pushes some of her hair back behind her hair, and she says, "Yeah, I'm looking to take the examination by the next full moon. I want to test out early. I feel that I can do it. It's just I've had no time for a social life."
Well, if anybody can get out of this place early, it deserves to. It's you, Janice.
She smirks.
What about Lily? He's already has her associate.
Are you spying on us? With your, familiar?
What's that?
I technically could. I could have the familiar just poke his head through the wall and watch through my familiar's eyes and ears.
You could, but you also don't know where he is.
That's true. So, but anyways, I don't
You
think
you
he's
uh,
marrying it.
you get the weasel to smell the teacup and get my scent and track him down.
Well, actually, I could have my familiar look at you. So.
So Janice, you can tell that she's nervous and she's also very uncomfortable. And she says, "So, are you hungry?"
Starving.
If you'd like, I can warm up some leftover biscuits that I made for supper this evening.
Oh,
Biscuits and gravy?
You don't have to go to the trouble. I'm okay.
No, I insist. I don't like starving my guests.
Well, how about I help you? We'll just meet in the middle.
She nods, and she takes you into this little kitchen area. There's a stove that has a pipe that goes on the outside wall, and she essentially pulls out from the cupboard two biscuits, and she puts them under the stove, wraps them up in a cloth, and puts them on a metal pan so that they can warm up a bit. And she says, "So, if you don't mind me asking, what exactly did you do for this Adventures League?"
Well, there was I can't name any specific names, but there was disturbances down south of some sort of creature terrorizing people or eating cattle and whatnot.
Oh.
And I was sent down there to check it out to see what it might be. And I kind of look around to make sure nobody's around. And you're not going to believe this, but it was an honest to soul werewolf.
She her eyes grow wide and she says, You saw a lycanthrope."
Oh, I didn't even just see a lycanthrope. I defeated a lycanthrope.
Really? What was it like?
It was taller than I am, but had a bit of a hunch. Its legs were kind of bent, sort of like a wolf, but it was still standing on 2 feet. It would only stand on all 4 if it was going running for a long distance. Its arms were much thicker than its legs, It was, I believe, dark grayish for here. And I pull out my book
Mm-hmm.
that I have, my journal sort of, and I like flip it over and I show her like a picture of the werewolf that I drew while it was like unconscious.
She looks at it, and you see that she has this face of like this. She's just awestruck, and she says, You must have been terrified when it had attacked you."
Uh, I yes, it was. I was a bit worried there, but honestly, I got out relatively unscathed. Some of the people I was with were a little, what's the word, a little more foolhardy and got injured in the process. But they're okay.
Oh, that's good.
It was basically it was amazing. Like
Are you
I
not
was
gonna tell
traveling.
her about the murders? The murderer?
What, Callan?
Yeah.
I don't want to make a legend out of you. Anyway, uh, so it was terrifying because none of our weapons were working on this creature. Like they were bouncing off like he was made of stone. I hy- I hypothesized that only certain either silver weapons like in Legend or perhaps more magical weapons could injure such a creature.
Do you think perhaps it had some sort of abjuration spell on it to protect itself?
It is possible, though I doubt it was intelligent enough to cast it on itself. It seemed more like if it had some sort of spell, it seemed almost if it did, like I said, have some sort of spell, it might have been just genetically intrinsic to its DNA,
Huh.
like something naturally enchanted.
It could be possible that the lycanthrope had a partner, and the partner could have casted this spell on him before it had attacked you.
Well, it was the lycanthrope less attacked us. Is more of we kind of had an idea of where it would be in a general area, and we sort of set a trap for it.
But it
So
did try to kill you, right?
yes, our trap was built on the not unproven, ultimately unsound notion that the creature would be susceptible to the damage dealt by regular weapons. Luckily, I was able to use to enchant the creature to convince it to go to sleep, where we were able to, as it was asleep, to gently, quickly tie it up with chains, and we were able to find a silver dagger that was able to put down the creature before it wake up and attack us again.
So they're vulnerable to charming effects.
At least this one was, though I would assume, yes, all of them are.
Well, that's good. I hope that if you ever cross another one, your same methods will be just as successful. I hate to hear that something bad had happened to you.
Oh, you know me, I always land on my feet in the end.
Yeah. And you both then smell something burning, and she quickly looks at the biscuit and kind of carefully picks it up and quickly places it on a wooden plate and unfolds it, the cloth from it. And you do see that the bottom of the biscuit did get burnt a little bit, but it's not terribly bad. and she apologizes for getting distracted.
No, I take the biscuit and I'm like, how did you know I like my biscuits well done? In a sort of light-hearted and joking manner, but I take a bite without not using any prestidigitation. I just take a very hearty bite of the biscuit.
You could taste like the biscuit. Probably at one point did taste really good, but it's now kind of like stale. It's definitely warm, and the burnt parts of it give it an interesting smoky taste, but it's definitely not as good as it was when it was cooked fresh.
So, here, I want you, I brought a little bit of a gift for you that I hope you like. And I pull out, if you say that I don't have this, then I'll just completely change this, but could I pull out one of the teeth of the werewolf?
Sure.
And this was one of the teeth of the werewolf. I want you to have it. And I hand it to her.
She at first she kind of just stares at your hand, and then she shakes her head and she takes a steps back and she says, "No, I can't. That's you risk your life for something like that. I don't deserve something like that."
I didn't. I didn't. I didn't fight the creature just to get a tooth. I thought the creature killed it, and the tooth was just so I could prove to other people that I killed it. But now I'm sitting here and realizing that you're the only person I care about proving anything to.
News.
Give me a charisma.
A charisma, not persuasion or performance.
Are you making this a performance?
I feel like it's more like a persuasion. Not really like I'm.
Yeah, give me a persuasion, actually.
15.
She shakes her head again. She goes, "No, I can't. I can't take it. It's yours."
Well, if you change your mind, I'm not planning on giving it to anybody else.
So when you put it away, she then says, "Dylan."
Yes, Janice?
I know this may seem a little awkward, but I hope that you're not here to try to make up for what happened the last time we saw each other.
No, honestly, that wasn't my intention when I knocked on your door. Technically true.
Yeah. And I also hope that you're not here to swoon me under my covers. I'm here to...
I wouldn't dream of.
I'm here to study. I'm here to get my wizard's certification, and I'm here to leave. I had my fun, and I have decided that I'm done.
What are you, I know you're studying abjuration, but what are you planning on doing with that?
She walks over to a pile of tomes that are open, and she kind of lifts a few of them off, and then she picks one up, and she flips through back a couple pages, and she holds up the book, and you see that there is essentially a landscape drawing that takes up both of the pages of a city of strange architecture. That's definitely not like any of the cities in Astria that you have seen. And over it there is what looks to be a bubble over the city. And she says, I want to replicate this. The council, they have a defense against magic like this, but I would like to alter it to make it better. And I'm hoping that with my knowledge and abjuration that they will let me go into essentially the core of where the security is, and maybe let me tinker with it and make it better or add a few more features to it. I love this city. I was born here, I was raised here, and I have heard and I have seen many people get hurt because of magic. And I want to use my abjuration skills to hopefully be able to protect this city from not just the inside, but from the outside as well.
Well, that is, as all the people who've talked to about what they wanted to do with their studies, it's definitely one of the more noble ones I've heard.
She wants to protect people from Callan. Like Callan.
I know magic is definitely what I would call a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can do amazing things, protect people, heal people, help people. But I've also seen firsthand some of the less than praiseworthy things it can do. I'm sure once you get your wizard's degree that the council will listen to you. You seem to have a very good plan of what you need to do. What if that all works out? What's your plan afterwards?
You see that she sets the tome down and she actually kind of thinks about it for a few seconds, and she says, honestly, I'll just go with the flow. Soul and Luna and Ariel, if they feel that there's anything else left for me in my life, then I suppose they will make it so.
Well, if you ever want to talk, whenever you've done all your amazing things and you feel as if Soul and the other deities allow you to find somebody and try having that sort of close relationship with, and you'd interesting. I would like it if you could maybe look me up.
She smirks and she says, I would, but I honestly feel that with you being a Casanova of sorts, you're not exactly my type.
Ooh.
Oh, you got Oh.
You're nice, but from all the stories that I've heard from all the other girls, I hope you understand that I can't help but to feel a little bit unease
I can see where you're coming from. Uh, just so you know, if I've all the other girls, well, they were nice, good people, and I wish them all the best of luck. It wasn't. I wasn't going out trying to ruin people or take. I I know. I believe there's you can have sort of that casual relationship, but I do believe in a stronger love, a more truer love. And just because I've often seeked the company of others, I'm somewhat upset to admit I've never been adverse to the idea of just settling down. And if I ever do decide to settle down, become either just a husband or even a family man or father, I hope whoever would be um, I hope that whoever would be patient and kind enough to have that sort of relationship with me, I hope they'd be at least a little something like you.
She smiles and she says, I hope so too. Well, I need to get back to my studies.
Of course,
You can
I've
take
kept you.
you can take the biscuit if you want.
Thank you.
And she leads you back to the door, and she opens it for you. And
Can I hear the other door open?
no.
Oh.
These are thick walls. Or at least I hope they are.
And she says, well, it was nice seeing you again, Dylan.
It was nice seeing you too, Janice. I hope our next meeting won't be too terribly far away.
She smirks. And she says, take care of yourself, Dylan.
You too, Janice. You too.
And then she closes the door.
As I walk away, I take out my harmonica and I play a very sort of quiet but very sad song.
Ooh.
Ooh, heartstrings.
Oh. Lovely.
So this, you
Sadness
would
is
definitely hear
real.
this, Lily. You would hear a harmonica being lightly played in the halls.
Okay.
It sounds vaguely like the song, like, how could this happen to me?
Oh god.
No, it should be Piano Man.
Just to let you know, though, I have a passive wisdom, so I can actually hear pretty well or have sight, and that's because I had the trait observant. So, but anyway, I open the door to see what the hell's there.
You see Dylan kind of already walked past your door, heading towards the stairs, playing a harmonica.
Already back soon.
Yeah, I'm heading back to my room. Tonight didn't quite go like I imagined it would.
I see. It's I understand how you are as well. I've been locked in my own room for quite a while. I feel like I need a refresher. Mind if I walk with you back to your dorm? I need some fresh air myself.
Red alert.
Okay,
Yeah.
would you mind putting some clothes, like walking around clothes on?
Well,
I'll just pull out my winter blanket and throw it around the rest of my body. Just
That's even worse.
It's even worse.
That's even worse.
Anybody?
it's a thick winter blanket that covers the
That's
entire
so
body.
much worse.
Well, let's do.
No.
I cast disguise self on me to make myself look like a younger girl, and I'm like, sure, come on.
Alright.
and you still sound like Dylan when you do it.
Yeah, I still sound like Dylan, though I have the actor feat, so I could easily like impersonate any girl's voice that I've heard before.
You can mimic Bethany's.
So, what are your companions like?
What?
So, what are your companions like?
Oh, let's see, there's Leon. Not the most book-read person, but good guy all around. Has what I call pretty strong morals. He's a bit on the. I feel like I'd say he's taller than me, a bit on the lithe side, but he's deceptively strong.
I see.
And then there's Joan. I don't believe is she taller than me? I think we're about the same height.
You're about the same height, yeah.
Then there's Joan Smith. She's about the same height as I am. Fairly androgynous. She's a bit of a woodsy kind of gal.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, she's the quiet sort. Not very extroverted. You might like her.
I see. I'm gonna have Lily take out a small flask out of the back of her pocket and take like a small swig.
What? No.
Aren't you? I look at this and I'm like even more nervous, even though I'm wearing a guy, and I'm like, aren't you a bit young for that?
It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you all know, we do not condone underage drinking.
Do you want me to make any constitution checks, anything like that?
I mean, you're just taking a sip, unless you've been drinking this entire time.
Nope. Just this once.
Yeah, no, not with this.
She wants to be like the cool kid.
Like, how strong is this stuff? Is this stuff?
Yeah, it's Nightgale Ale.
I have no idea what that means. If it's ale, I'm assuming it's not that alcoholic. Wait, is your family makes like spirits and stuff?
Yes, they do, actually. That's how they can actually afford for me to come here. obviously with Callan being penniless and abandoning me, obviously that's the only reason I got here.
Right. I got in on a scholarship. Apparently, I'm the only one who got in on a scholarship.
Apparently. I so much didn't. Although I'm probably one of the youngest ones here.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe the youngest.
Yes, that'd be a safe assumption.
I don't see very many 16-year-olds being out here.
Yeah, no, most of their parents aren't comfortable with them going to college with a bunch of adults.
So, what are you studying for exactly?
I'm one of the few people who actually came to Mordecai to learn how to be a bard.
That's a very strange one. Don't you go to the college more performed for bards?
Let's see, I was born actually very close to Seaport. Uh, I never knew who my father was. My mom was she used a lot of things. She was a midwife, scullery maid, lots of, pretty much she'd do a variety of odd jobs. And as I was growing up, I would do odd jobs myself. But the main thing she always did, she seemed most happy doing, was singing and telling stories. And she would teach me all the stories that she had learned from her parents and other people. And I would tell those stories, and I taught myself how to play a harmonica, a guitar, other instruments. And well, one day I wanted to study at the Bard's College, which was close to where we lived, but it was very expensive. But apparently, around that time, when I was just about nearing college age, and at that point I was afraid I might never be able to go and formally learn, I was uh, I was told of a sort of there was a contest in the city that was for Mordecai College, where the winner would get a scholarship to study. Since Mordecai was looking to somewhat expand into other things than just your stereotypical wizard book things and try to get a bigger, broad sort of student body to rival the Bard's College in Seaport. And I went there, and basically all I had to do was to join the competition was have some form of musical or oratorial talent and at least a little bit of a magical ability, which I had both, and I won the contest. And again, I got my scholarship, and now I'm here.
I see. Would you mind if I met your friends?
I don't. I mean, if you want to meet them, I'm sure they'd be happy to meet you.
I see.
Did you read my first book?
Well, obviously. Plenty of times, actually.
It's not a very long book. Uh, kind of got, kind of became. It wasn't one of. It was kind of those things when you first begin writing, you're not sure. You start off wanting to write something deep and profound with a lot of layers. Eventually, you kind of go through so much writer's block that you're like, well, at least got to write something. It's more the coffee table kind of read, but I still feel like it kind of carries its own weight.
Yes. So this Leon fella you mentioned doesn't know how to count. Is that correct? If I remember.
I never mentioned that out in character.
Oh.
I just said he wasn't very book smart, which would be a huge gap to like say, oh, he must not be able to count.
Sorry, I completely.
No, it's fine.
I didn't remember if you did say that. So this intellectual fellow.
Oof.
What's his grade of level of education? Obviously, it's not college.
I feel like it was more. He seems like both my friends seem more like the outdoors type. I feel like they're just self-taught, if not taught by their immediate parents.
I see. So after a while of walking, do we actually finally reach?
Yes.
All right.
Dylan can unlock the door, and when you both walk in, you see Joan kind of laying down in his love seat with their head.
Once we get back to the door, I drop the disguise.
Okay. You see that Joan has like her eyes closed, and then she like opens one eye and she sees you transform, and then she closes it and she goes, "Hello, Dylan."
Sure.
Hey, Joan. I'm back from my errand.
Ah, well, I hope that she was satisfactory.
Actually, that's not really more satisfactory than I deserved. Anyway, on unrelated notes, this is a friend I ran into on the way back. Just a friend.
She opens up one eye again, and she opens both of them when she sees Lily. And she says, "Oh, is she lost or something?"
No, she's something of a prodigy. She's only 16.
Oh.
Just a friend, like I said.
Well, nice to meet you. I'm Joan. And she'll kind of give you a light curtsy.
It's fun fact. I don't know if you stop me if you mind me telling the story, but Lily here was adopted by the Nightingale family, but her birth father happened to be one Callan Arcton.
Once he hears Callan, Leon opens up the door and is just like, "What about Callan?"
The door just swings and goes, "What about Callan?"
Callan just comes out from a different door. Is like, "Did somebody mention my name?
Did somebody call for a superhero?" No.
Callan pops out of a bush. Did someone call for a supervillain?
Oh God.
Just kidding. No.
No.
An anti-hero, more like.
Yeah.
Not a villain.
Villain.
So.
Anti-heroes don't kill people because they insulted their gravy.
Joan says, well, I'm sorry that your father is a murderer. I hope that he didn't harm you in any way.
Emotionally, he did. Not.
I'm sorry.
Not really physically.
By the way, Lily, this is Leon.
Can I tell if Leon has like any addictions to any like alcohol? Since my parents do own a brewery.
He's gone without for a month.
I'd say no.
Like, do you have Terminator vision to like say, will they join me in my alcoholic revelry?
Scanning for alcohol. What is it? What is it? What is it? BMI and all? What is it?
Besides him being extra cranky, no, I don't think so.
Checking for
Okay.
alcoholic blood levels. I forgot what it's
Oh.
called. It's like the ratio between like alcohol in your blood.
And then I'm just gonna have Lily take another out of the flask.
Joan
Didn't you
goes.
say she was 16?
Joan says.
She suddenly gets younger. Like
Dylan.
now she's 16.
Dylan, did you give her that drink?
No. Right hand to soul. I do not give her anything.
She shrugs and goes, okay, I guess as long as you didn't do it. Well, Lily, it was nice to meet you, but I'm awfully tired, and I don't mean to be abrupt, but I would kind of like to rest my head for a bit.
And Lily just nods back.
Perhaps we can meet at some other time.
Alright. And have I already finished casting my Find Familiar spell or no?
I feel like wouldn't you have cast that like before the session even began? Because I feel like usually when you like first learn it, you cast it, and unless something
much.
kills your familiar.
That's kind of how it is, but if you wanted to wait until like now to do it, I would say that you probably wouldn't have, because it wasn't quite an hour
Okay.
when you started.
Can I just say I have my familiarity then? Alright. Alright, I'm gonna before Lily turns around and then snaps her finger, and a blackish looking weasel appears out of nowhere. Me and Flufferton will leave, and we just walk off.
What?
Flufferton.
What?
Quick question.
I'm like confused. Like, where did the weasel come from? Like, what the?
So is Leon. Leon's just like looking around. It's just like, well, at least there's only one.
Well, Leon,
You can count me
change
out.
change of plans. Looks like we're sharing a bed tonight.
Oh, I didn't know you swing that way.
I do when it's cold outside.
So,
All right, I'm not opposed to it.
all of you
Snap of a finger and a blanket.
go into bed, and you sleep nice and soundly, and that is where we are going to end it for tonight.
Okay.
Alright.
You wake up the next morning, Leon, to see Dylan like standing over you, like furiously sketching you.
What are you doing?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's like
No.
Leon's just like, you better not caption that drawing.
Leon.
Can I?
Leon, you slowly awaken, and you don't feel Dylan's body next to yours. So when your eyelids slowly peel back, you see that Dylan is standing on top of his nightstand to the side of his bed, and he's accessing through the little hidey hole on top, and your heart stops. Dylan shuffles through the pile and just goes, "Ah, yes, I remember this one," reminiscing through the days. And then, as he gets to the end of the pile, you see worry struck his face. He then quickly shuffles through the pile, and he goes, "Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? My magnum opus! Where is it?" And then, you see, his panic halts, and he slowly looks at you with a smile. And he looks you into the eyes and he says, "Did you touch my stuff?" In which you
Stuff? What stuff?
in which you respond with, and you jump out of bed and you rocket out of the door, and in which Dylan goes, "John, get back here! Joan, he took my picture!" In which
I'm not
Joan,
gonna tell Joan that he took something.
and then Joan wakes up, rubbing her eyes. Oh God. Why do I always have to be the one that controls everything? He took my picture! Ah!
Then Lily comes out of nowhere. He summons the magic hand and grabs Leon. I'm just kidding, no.
Oh. If I wasn't able to do it to Callan, you weren't able to do it to me.
I let you into my home, and this is how you repay me. By taking my porn.
You just like Leon. All of a sudden, you like black out and you wake up and you're in a dark room with then a spotlight comes before you, and you see Dylan is now in a fancy tuxedo with a bow tie and a little pencil thin mustache, and he stands before you with one leg crossed over the other, and he's sitting back on a massive cushioned throne, and he goes, "I'll let you into my house." Into my room. I'll let you see my friends. I'll let you meet them. I'll let you make some acquaintance out there to me. And you go ahead and you stab me right in the back. You take something precious from me. My dear friend, Leon. You do this to me in one of the biggest ways of disrespect. It's really a shame of what I'm going to have to do to you. Do you understand what I'm going to have to do to you? I'm going to break every finger that's on your hands. I thought you were a friend to me.
I didn't know you had an accent.
I trusted you. I could not believe that you would do this to me. Your best friend. It's a shame. It's a shame. Alrighty, boys. Break the little piggies till they go wee on the way home. You got it, boss.
And then you wake up from your dream.
You got it, boss. Sayonara.
It's just like a guilty dream that Leon's having.
Yeah.
Like a really elaborate guilty dream.
Yeah.
And you actually wake up and...
Just Leon springs up, just like from a really bad dream.
You actually wake up and... Do you see that Dylan is actually looking through his pictures, and he goes, "Huh?" And you're like, "What?" I could have sworn I had... And then he stashes it back. You saw nothing. And then he hops down from his nightstand and walks out.
I like it. I'm pretty sure I would notice if that specific picture was gone.
No, this is just a funny scenario. Alright, so now that we're at the end of the session, next time, hopefully everyone will be here, and at this point, Joan will be able to turn in her piece of paperwork to acquire the family heirloom of the Greens, which is supposedly a sword that was imbued with magic long ago. And then after that, maybe we will get a new quest from the Adventures League for our players to go off onto. And we'll get some action going.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Alright, well, we're going to say bye to the people anyway, so...
Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See y'all
Hasta la
Sunday.
vista.
Stay foxy.
And just remember, if you ever try to betray me once again, I'll do worse to you than what death could ever do to you. I'll make you regret every choice you ever made in your life. Subscribe to this
Actually,
channel
Terry,
or I'm
yeah.
gonna come find you. And me and my boys, we're gonna show you what it truly means to have pain. Have a good day, friends. Love you.